Next person who's going to speak. So unfortunately, I had two speakers who could not make it. Belinda Dow, who is local here, she does drone mapping, Dow Geospatial. She has some medical issues with her family and could not attend. So she did send some books about drone mapping in both English and Spanish. So if you are into drone mapping, I left them on the door. She is also the one who donated the little, did everybody get those little pens, the lens cleaning pens? They were in a lot of the bags. I didn't have enough to put them in every bag, but she donated those. She couldn't speak, and then Hi Kesteloo let me know just a couple of days ago that he wasn't coming, the drone DJ. He had stories to break or something, or music to spin, but he could not make it. So my good pal, you guys might know Philip Ulrich from First Friday. This guy has been such a big help to me. He comes in and figures stuff out when I'm confused, because I'm old. And he tells me what's going on with the computer, what's going on with Wirecast, what's going on with YouTube. And so I said, hey, can you help me out one more time and come speak about your upcoming adventure? Because this doesn't have a whole lot to do with drones, but it does have to do with YouTube, it does have to do with lifestyle, and it does have to do with my favorite sidekick, Philip.
So, is this on? Yeah. I don't know about sidekick. Have you guys ever seen First Friday? Because I pretty much rock the show. He's the sidekick. So yeah, actually approached me last night when we were at Sam's boat, you know, eating some food, and he's like, hey, so you're gonna do a talk tomorrow, right? I said, huh. Guess so. So I stayed up a couple hours last night and put together some slides, and we're going to be talking about living full-time in an RV and what it is, what it isn't, and how it works. So for those of you who don't know, I'm taking off in an RV as of next Saturday. Full-time, just going wherever. I'm starting off going to Freeport, Texas. I'm going to a RV park that's basically right across from the beach. I'm also going to be backed up to a like a dock that doesn't go to the beach, it goes to a separate water area. Anyway, it's gonna be really cool. And then from there, we're gonna go over to Florida and then up the East Coast, visit some family and stuff like that. So all the time that I'm doing that, I'm also gonna be working full time. So let's go ahead and just start talking about that. So a common misunderstanding whenever you're living full time in RV, especially if you're not familiar with the culture, it's not really a vacation. And if you've ever talked to someone who actually has vacation in an RV, you have to change expectations with them. Because whenever you're in an RV on vacation, you're starting one place, you're going another place, and then you get there as soon as possible. If you're living full-time in an RV, there's no end destination. There's just this, and you take it slow. So this is actually, my wife and I, we're on a hammock in Mexico over the beach area. Is actually nice. But yeah, that's not what it is. It's not a vacation. In fact, talking about going slow, with a rule that we like to adhere to in the full-time community, there's variations of this, but it's the rule of twos. So no more than 200 miles between locations, arrive at the campsite before 2 p.m., and then stay for at least 2 days. So 200 miles, we're going to talk about this more in a second, but you basically want to plan your route, and you don't want it to be too long because then it just becomes complicated. Arrive before 2 p.m. Some campsites don't allow you to make reservations for a specific spot, so you want to make sure you get a good spot. And also, arriving late is rude to people who are staying at the campsite because you're making noise trying to get set up. And stay for at least 2 days. If you're full-time in an RV, you're basically, I mean, if you go 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, it's very stressful. At least 2 days between locations, and 2 days if you're going from like one place to another, if you have to adhere to the no more than 200 miles rule. So in terms of planning, you do have to plan carefully. So if you look here, that is a semi-truck, or at least a small box truck that hit a bridge. It tore the roof off. That is a Class C, I believe, that got stuck off the side of the road because they ended up somewhere not good. And then can you play this video for me? That was a fifth wheel being towed at a bank. The guy literally just got the loan for it, just got the RV, and he rammed it into the awning of where the bank drive-thru is, and he took down the awning, and it collapsed onto the top of his truck, so the cab area was smashed down. And he should have been dead, but he survived somehow. So yeah, bad things happen when you don't plan. And talking about route planning, whenever you're planning your route, GPSs, even ones that are meant for RVs and for semi-truckers, aren't perfect. They don't know about all bridge clearances. They don't know about all the roads. And there's even some roads that you can't take a certain load over, so that's something you have to consider. So whenever you're planning your route, you basically want to go to Google Maps, go to the satellite view, and say, do I want to drive on those roads? The answer to both of those, I would say, yeah. Do I want to drive on that road? The answer I'd say is no. That is a trap. Don't do it. So, it's really difficult whenever you're talking about, let's just say, bridge clearances, going back here. There's not one central database that I found of every single bridge across the United States. Obviously, each Department of Transportation would have that data somewhere, but so far, no one has a complete list that I found. Even places that do the route planning don't have perfect data for bridge heights. So basically, whenever you're approaching a bridge and you have a 14-foot RV behind you, you have to go real slow, and you have to look at the clearance sign if there is one, and then hopefully you don't hit it. That's basically how it works. Yeah, so this is another misunderstanding about living in an RV full-time that I have to explain way too often. For some context, I've been living in an RV for 2 months now, stationary, but we're taking off just next week. You can't just leave at a moment's notice. My friends say, hey, Phil, you're in an RV, right? Just come down to X location at Y time tomorrow, and we'll hang out. Just bring your RV. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So whenever you pack with haste, it leads to mistakes, and mistakes end up with your sewer pipe dragging down the highway. I don't know how that happens, honestly, but apparently did. Basically, whenever you're packing and moving, there's steps that you have to do. You basically want to go through a checklist to make sure you do them all. And if you miss anything, it could cost you thousands of dollars, or at least an insurance claim. Number two, you want to make sure things are put in safe spots inside. So whenever you're traveling down the road in an RV, it's an earthquake inside the RV. Everything shakes around. If you don't have stuff in the right place, it's going to fall down. Yeah, you got to make sure you put everything in safe spots, and you will forget some things, and things will break along the way, and you'll get over it. Number three, RV lifestyle is becoming more and more popular, and you need to reserve months in advance, at least a month or two, if not more, depending on the location. Some national parks, the RV parks inside, you actually have to reserve 6 months plus ahead. So it just depends on where you're going. But in terms of going places, you basically have to treat it like a chess game and be a couple moves ahead of yourself and know where you're going ahead of where you are. And again, you need to plan your routes because that is a bad situation that the guy ended up, and obviously you wouldn't hit a bank teller, but anyway, bad things happen when you don't plan. So another common misconception, I'm gonna go RVing full time because it's cheap. No, it's not. So there's a couple different ways that you could do RVing. You could get a big truck and a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, or you could get something like a Class C or Class A or even a Class B. Those are some example prices up there. I mean, for a good F-350 to pull something very heavy like we have, $4,500 used for one that's a couple of years old, $75,000 for a brand new one that's, you know, got the massaging seats. Those are so necessary. So great. I literally, yesterday, I sat in a truck for the first time that had a massaging seat. Best thing in the world. I didn't get it yet. So trucks are expensive. That's a 2019 Grand Design fifth wheel trailer. That's $95,000 MSRP. Granted, you won't ever pay MSRP for it. For some context, the MSRP of our fifth wheel was $119,000. We paid $63,000. Learn lessons. It was year end, so it was last year's model, and it had been sitting on the lot for a while, but we still paid half price for it. And then also, you got to keep in mind, insurance is very expensive. Gas and diesel, depending on where you're going. Lot rent, depending on where you're at. It can cost $400 a week to stay somewhere in Florida. Yeah, that's mainly the nice resort areas, but still. Utilities, internet, and so on. And internet is something that's a whole other story. We'll cover it in just a minute, but it's not cheap, and that's another common misconception. So it sounds terrible, right? Confusing, daunting, scary. Not really, it's just different. We all have our problems. If you're in a sticks and bricks house, you have your own problems. Full-time RVing has their own problems. So what is it then? New sights and scenery. What does that even say? Constantly great weather. So whatever you think is great weather, you can chase the weather wherever you want. It's always nice. Freedom, kayaking, unlimited possibilities, waking up to beaches outside your window, skiing. It's like a seminar where I'm trying to sell you on a lifestyle. It's whatever you want. You decide what it is, and that's what's great about RVing. It gives you the freedom to be wherever, whenever you want. And that's something that I'm starting to learn I like. And that's why when people say, how long are you going to be doing this RV thing? I'm like, I don't know. 5 years, 10 years, 2 months, we'll see what happens. So, some frequently asked questions. How do you get internet? Easy answer, hotspots. So, not easy answer, you have to get good hotspots. So, if you're not familiar with the scene, you basically have to take a PhD class in the different plans that cellular providers offer and find one that gives you the data that you need. I have been collecting, this sounds bad, I've been collecting cell phone plans for the past 3 years. Whenever there's one that sounded good, I picked it up. So there's one from AT&T, it's called the Mobley plan. It's actually fully unlimited, and it was meant for cars. So it actually had an ODB2 connector that you plugged into your car. It powered the hotspot, and that gave you internet. I took the SIM card out of that, I put it in a better hotspot, I have unlimited internet. They stopped selling that very quickly. I wonder why. The other thing I picked up along the way was a Verizon prepaid unlimited plan, also fully unlimited. In total for both of those, I pay a whopping $80 or $90 a month. If you get a grandfathered Verizon plan, you have to pay someone like $600 initially. You might or might not get it deactivated. And then the monthly payments on that's like $65 or $70 a month. So if you get a grandfather plan, one that's truly unlimited from someone else by way of transfer, it's very expensive. Otherwise, you just go collecting cellular plans until you decide that you want to use them. What kind of RV do you have, and what is a toy hauler? So obviously I have a toy hauler, and it's more or less a toy hauler. You would put an ATV or a motorcycle in the back, and you would take that somewhere else. What we did instead of using it as a toy hauler, we ripped out the seats that were there, and I wish I put a picture in the slides, but it was late last night. Ripped out the seats that were there, put desks. So now I have desks that are sit-stand, they move up and down with just a switch on the wall, and that's a perfect office area. That's a fifth wheel hitch, so it connects to the back of the truck, and then I pull that with my truck. Why do I go that way? Go that way. All right. What do you pull it with? I pull it with a 2006 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD with an 8.1 liter Vortec engine. It's important because that's a gasoline engine, and it's one of the only ones in the older models that actually could pull what I have. Has a 15.6 pulling capacity. So basically, my trailer fully loaded is like 16.5, but it's not fully loaded. Technically, if I got pulled over, I might get a ticket, but don't tell anyone. That's another story. But I paid $10,000 for it instead of the $75,000 for a brand new 350, which I'm going to get one of those. And it was really cheap, and it works. So that's what I pull with. How much does it typically cost to stay in an RV park? For one in Austin, up north, in actually Cedar Park area, I pay $550 a month. That does not include electricity. Electricity is like $200 there, because it's 10 cents per kilowatt. I don't know why. But that's not typical. Like I'm going down south, and the one in Freeport I'm paying $450 a month. That does include electricity. So it can vary widely, and if you just stay by the day, it's a lot more expensive, but if you stay for at least a week or even a month, then it's cheaper. Does it feel cramped? No, not at all. Where did you put all your stuff? I sold it all. You realize quickly when you're moving into this lifestyle, you don't need everything that you have, and we sold a ton of stuff. And we've been collapsing from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom to a studio to prepare ourselves for this as well. How's the toilet work? It's magic, you don't want to know. What kind of RV should I get and what kind is the best? Honestly, in terms of driving, the Class A would probably be the easiest because it's a big bus. If you're familiar with pulling trailers, something like a travel trailer might be easier for you, but in my opinion, pulling trailers, the 5th wheel is my favorite. It just has more maneuverability. How do you get your mail and how does it work legally? That's a very complicated question, but there's a mail forwarding service in Texas. That is my proper address as far as my driver's license is concerned and every legal document that I have. And I technically domicile in Texas. So income tax is Texas rates, which is nothing. Income tax in Texas is nothing. It's very nice. But that's also where I live, so if it ever comes in a question like, that's my home state, just leave me alone. And then in terms of going from state to state, that's iffy on whether or not you pay income tax. Just depends on how long you stay there and what the individual state's regulations are. And that also becomes iffy whenever it comes to work. But that's a whole nother story. So we got like 3 minutes left.
All right. Jeff Sills, what's your question?
Yes.
Okay, so the other question that is not on that list that I think would probably be pertinent is what about maintenance cost? Because all of that stuff requires upkeep.
Yes, you are correct. I mentioned that on my cost slide, I believe. But basically, maintenance costs whenever it's an RV that you've just bought, most of the stuff should be under warranty. So if something does go bad, you can replace it with warranty. If there is something that happens that's not a part of a collision, the repair costs are very expensive. If it's a part of a collision, then your insurance would pay for it. So very expensive if you do pay.
What type of a job do you have that allows you to travel like this?
I'm a cloud engineer, believe it or not.
He makes it rain.
So I work primarily with AWS infrastructure, and that's a very inappropriate joke. Next.
Why did you choose this lifestyle?
So I think the ideal situation for everyone whenever they're moving towards retirement is to do something like this. I didn't want to wait. Austin traffic sucks, and it's terrible. And just everything about staying in one location has just gotten boring to me. And the fact that people are starting to do this, it's like, why not?
Are you a good Sam Club member?
I am, yes.
And the other thing you didn't mention that probably a lot of people in here would want to know, what are your plans for drone footage? I mean, I would think this would open up a whole world of flying in really cool places, not national parks, of course, but.
Oh yeah, so I do have some links here. It's no big deal. I'll talk about those in a second. But in terms of actually showing you guys, like, okay, here's our family vacation footage, I don't really want to do any videos like that. Like, I might use cool drone footage for B-roll. But we've started a couple, a YouTube channel as well as an Instagram. The YouTube channel is going to be what it's like to live and work in an RV full-time, as well as some like technology reviews and stuff related to that. We're going to be putting out a video soon that's a full tour of an RV. It's going to be really cool, so you can see what that looks like. And then in terms of like Instagram content, that's actually going to be your cool, like, oh, look at this view, typical Instagram stuff. So if you want to see pictures of cool places, you can follow our Instagram there. Outdoorish, the domain name, is just going to be word content to go along with the actual YouTube videos we have. And then if you want to follow along with our personal life, if you want to hear about, ooh, we went kayaking today, that kind of stuff, the Ulrich Life is the place to go for that.
One more from Jeff.
All
Yes.
right, so the other thing I was going to ask is I see sites or actually companies that sell older RVs. Some of the really, really expensive RVs that in the past have been like $300,000, $400,000 RVs, that they're down in prices of like $95,000, $85,000. is there value in buying a high quality, previously year modeled RV?
You want to make sure you get that inspected by a professional. Do not consider yourself a professional. You want to make sure that you hire someone once you're seriously looking at one to go look at it.
It's like buying a house.
There are so many hidden things that could be wrong with it that you might not see that someone who actually works on these all the time will see. There could even be like a situation, let's just say it was in Houston whenever we had the hurricane, it could have gotten a lot of water damage. So there's all kinds of issues that crop up with older RVs. They're really not meant to be lived in full time. So if you're looking at buying an older one, you always want to make sure to have it looked at thoroughly.
All right. Well, there you go. The RV life. Who knew? Thanks, Philip. Very much appreciated. And again, he's been a big help to me. He's shot a bunch of my videos recently. I'm gonna miss him. He's still gonna come on the show via Skype if I can figure that stuff out. I'm looking over that direction. Oh, the clicker. Okay, so if you want to come up, I'm going to go ahead and do another giveaway. Sean, bring the computer up. Scott will get you plugged in. I want to do a couple more giveaways. We're getting really close to giving away the Mavic 2 Pro. I am going to give away the Frisbee to whoever catches it.